Can we get Lyme disease from using the app TikTok?
I wish. I'm going to say I wish everyone who watched TikTok got Lyme disease.
Welcome to another edition of the Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker.
Whoa.
What?
Sorry.
What?
I burped. I didn't mute myself in time. I burped on the air.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry, listeners.
Welcome to the Law Offices of Burp, Squabble, and Burp.
Belch, burp.
On this March 30th, 2022, it's an auspicious occasion because today is the day when Moon Knight is finally released on Disney+.
What?
What? Oh my God.
You give me your code.
You're just going to have to come over and watch it or something, Greg. Anyway, our client for today is take this job and gently insert it in your rectum.
Behold, trapped in a hellscape of their own invention, socially unaware old white men bound by the pretense of being fake lawyers yet knowing no law, no exquisite Latin terminology, they are inexplicably compelled to quibble over minutia, squabble over triflings, and bicker like those who value their backyards far too highly without even knowing the difference between an easement and an alleyway. At this very moment, you have entered the heart of the Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker. Let's get started.
If you got children and you need a place to drop them off for the day, look no further than Dodgy Daycare. Designed for children between the ages of 3 and 6 years old, Dodgy Daycare goes that extra mile to ensure your cherished ones are given the strictest care possible. Started in 2022, founder Vinny Pastalucci realized that kids are our future because, as he says,
"We are the world, we are the children, we're the ones who make a brighter day, so let's start giving."
Every child at Dodgy Daycare is trained in the art of finance and chance. To teach them responsibility, they're given dice, playing cards, and a miniature horse.
They gotta learn the basics, or the crap out in life. Then we gotta send Johnny Tunos after him to get my money. My kids have been going to Dodgy Daycare for 2 months, and already they've given me the odds for the main thoroughbreds at Belmont and busted my kneecaps when I defaulted on Vinny's gracious donation at my weekly poker game.
Dodgy Daycare is located right off of exit 33 on the Turnpike in Patterson, New Jersey. Financing is available through Long Legs Tony. Teach your kids real life skills. Let's start giving.
Send your kids to Dodgy Daycare now.
I loved it, though. As an Italian, I'm very offended. We're not all like that, Matt.
Not all like what? Runners of daycares?
Yeah, the thinly veiled mafioso. Johnny Two-Nose. Is that what he said?
Yeah, but I think it was originally supposed to be Johnny Two Knives, and, due to my inability to speak sometimes, it became
Like Johnny Two-Nose is better.
Two-Nose. It's a funnier name. So
It
we
was
do
a
have
big
two
nose.
people on TikTok right now. So hello, everybody. We're doing a podcast. This is live on YouTube as well as live on TikTok. And if you want to watch the whole thing, people, go to... It's funny, someone named the Italian Stallion just joined and they missed the entire Dodgy Daycare commercial. So you go to YouTube, the Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker. You can see what's going on the other side as opposed to just the side of my face. And so that's what's happening right now, everybody. Anyway, so yeah, Dodgy Daycare. I actually got that idea because I was driving somewhere in town and I saw a sign for a doggy daycare, but I thought it said Dodgy Daycare. So I went, oh, that'd be a perfect fake sponsor for us to do one of these days.
At least it's truth and advertising. They're not trying to hide it.
That's right. Hey, it's something that's good. But I'm sorry you're offended by the horrible accents once again that I'm no good at doing. I've definitely learned.
No, the accents that offend me is the insinuation that Italians are all mafia people. But
there's
and
no
also
mafia associated with this.
and
They
that they're
just happen to have
congested.
accents.
they're all congested. Like Pastalucci sounded like he was so congested. Like, hi. I have a cold. I have a head cold, but I'm going to do this commercial.
I know. I'm just hoping I don't get in trouble for using the picture of a real mafia crime boss. So,
Was that the Two-Nose guy? Oh, Pastalucci was.
Yeah. What was that? I can't remember the guy's name. I mean, one of the pictures was actually De Niro from Goodfellas.
Yeah.
But,
So now Pastalucci, that's his alias. He was a mob boss. Now he's kind of like.
I think he died, so I think we might be safe unless he's got some like lingering henchmen who want to come after obscure podcast people. So
I do not endorse the previous ad, the previous sponsor. You're on
but
your
it
own.
could be good. It could be a good learning experience for your kids.
You could be wearing concrete Keds, the bottom of the Willamette.
Oh, hey, Sanchez El Dorado is here. Sanchez El Dorado. So, if you're listening throughout the show, by the time we come up with Ask Greg, come up with a question to ask him, and we'll use your question. Remember, it's got to be a legal-esque question, so we'll see how it does. Oh, hey, we got somebody from TikTok on YouTube. Thanks for coming over, Avery Salazar. Appreciate that.
Can you hear me?
Yes. So we've got someone from TikTok who's come over to watch the podcast. Hopefully, it's worth their time. Anyway, all right. So the client for today, for those who don't know, we are a fake law office, and we have fake sponsors. We also have fake cooking segment and a fake legal advice section of the show. And right now, we're right. He does. And right now, we're going into our fake client. And our client for today is take this job and place it gently in your rectum. So that, I think, brings us to where the hell did jobs come from that people got to be paid for? I mean, I understand in the beginning days of before civilization, you had to have a job to feed yourself, and the job was self-created because you had to go find food to shove in your face so you could survive. But somewhere along the line, after we got out of the must find grub to shove in my face, there came a point when somebody else said, if you get food for me to shove in my face, I will give you a thing for doing that. And I think that's probably like the beginning stages of jobs and careers, in my opinion.
You're like bartering favors, basically.
Right,
like
but
I'm good at making fires. You're good at hunting, or
you think that's where it came from? You think it came from like fires was like
well, some people aren't good at making a fire. It's
a
tough.
good bartering skill to cook their meat or cook their lettuce?
Something, yeah.
Do you think they were cooking plants back in the day, or they were just cooking animals?
I said maybe. They didn't need to. You could just eat a
baby.
Well, no,
Why did you say baby?
I said maybe, baby. I was singing Buddy Holly. Baby, baby, I'll have you.
You'll be true. Well, we are the world. We are the children.
Yes. Hey, why didn't you quote? Why didn't you quote? I believe the children are our future. I see more apropos.
I think that wasn't that the quote?
Oh, you were doing "We're the World."
Yeah.
But the Whitney Houston song, that I believe the children are our future. And I don't know the rest.
Oh, that. Oh, okay. That's a different song, is why. Because
Yes.
I didn't even think about it. That would be why.
Yeah.
And it looks like we lost our TikTok visitor to YouTube. They're gone now, unless they're still there. And Sanchez El Dorado has joined us. They're still with us. Anyway,
Yeah.
So jobs, where did they come from, and how did it become the
imagine
hell that it is currently? Where like somebody like you is stuck with some restaurant in Portland, Oregon, washing dishes to try and survive.
Well, I think it started with when civilization started, and
Dishwashing.
Thinking that's getting paid for it.
Uh-huh.
We grew up thinking that like civilization, great, we started civilization, but a lot of bad things happen. Stratification of society archaeologists use that as a sign of a higher civilization. So basically, when things get unfair and shitty, archaeologists are like, wow, they were pretty advanced. Like when people are just hunter gatherers, they're all kind of equal. Maybe there's a chief and a shaman.
Well, there are definitely better hunters and better gatherers.
Yeah, but I mean, one civilization like Mesopotamia, like stratified society, it was just people in power who could be like, you have to work for me. You could be a slave, but not everyone was a slave. So it was just like, I'll pay you to do this job, or I won't kill you, maybe.
Do you think jobs started off as slaves? back in the early days of humanity. Like
Well,
they didn't even think about doing something nice for the other person. They just basically forced them to start working for them.
But I think the first theory was correct. I bet there was jobs, quote unquote, as a barter thing between hunter gatherers. They're like, you're good at hunting, I'm good at making an axe or something, or something more primitive, a club. I'll make you a club if you give me 3 venison.
What if they had different people who all made clubs in different ways, and they formed their own organization, and they probably called it a club at the time? You think?
I'm sure that's the name they used. I thought it would be a guild.
It would be the club guild, the guild of clubs,
the local 454 club maker union.
So let's take it back to the beginning. Let's just kind of like role play out like what that initial conversation came about. So here you have Gorg, or whatever his name is. I know we came up with a name for Early Man once in one of our earlier episodes.
Ugg.
Was it Ugg? Was the name of our generic Neanderthal individual?
Zog.
Wasn't Zog part of Superman 2 or something?
Zod.
General Zod. Okay. As opposed to Zed, which is the last letter in the Canadian and English alphabet.
But Zog is also what anti-Semites call the Zionist overlords.
Oh.
They call it Zod.
I didn't know. That'd be a good science fiction villain name, too.
Yeah.
I think. It could be a name of a planet, for that matter.
Why don't we just say Fred and Barney? So Fred and Barney are talking. That's 2 good caveman names.
Fred and Barney. No, that couldn't work because Fred and Barney are British names.
Well, they're cavemen in Britain. Britain had cavemen.
Did they?
And they drank tea. Pterodactyl tea.
Pterodactyl tea? Was that made from like the droppings of a pterodactyl when it's been eating leaves or something?
Yeah, I believe
it's like it goes through the pterodactyl's digestive system before they could actually drink it.
Doesn't that sound like a shitty Donovan song or something?
Well, no, a shitty thing would be like those meerkats or whatever they feed coffee to. And
they do this?
Oh, yeah, this is like a real thing where there's these animals. I don't know if they're meerkats. There's some kind of
I know about meerkats, yeah.
ferret-type animal that is fed coffee beans. And then those coffee beans are sold after they go through their system.
What?
As a luxury item.
So do you think I could sell the corn I find in my shit the next day?
But if you ate coffee, if you like swallowed coffee beans whole and saved those afterwards, there is a possibility you could sell those if you said they came from the animal that we were talking about.
Or it could be me, because people would be like, oh, it has a slight bourbon undertone to it.
This has been aged. This has been aged in the bowels of a 53-year-old man for 4 years.
A drunk.
All right, so it's a civet. It's a civet cat. It's an animal called an Asian palm civet. They roam the forests of Bali at night, eating ripe coffee cherries and excreting the coffee beans. So you'd have to eat coffee cherries, and then I guess the cherry is like what?
Yeah.
The bean is the pit of.
So who first decided to brew this Shivet shit?
Shivet shit?
Who was the first person in where is it? Bali? Did you say?
I guess. Well, maybe what happened was they were sifting through, the fumets of the civet. To use a not used word, fumets. There's another term I could be using that I'm not thinking of, but that one works. And like they're tracking them through the jungle because maybe they wanted to eat them. And then they found that there was like a hard substance within the excrement of the palm civet.
Throw it in the coffee pot. Why not?
They were like,
of course.
This looks like it's coffee beans. Well, I guess if you boil it long enough, it's going to make it sterile. So it's not going to affect you as long as you strain the boiled water afterwards. Unless you like that little tang of fecal pieces in your
Apparently
coffee.
They do. It's a luxury.
Maybe something coming from the animal makes it that much more special. I don't know. But anyway... So I don't know what my point was. Oh yeah. So in other words, so you could do that with coffee beans, and you could sell them probably to any number of coffee shops here in the Portland metropolitan area, since it's known for being a coffee hub.
It's Portland though; they don't want to come and beat the shit.
Why do you keep saying shit?
The locally, how do you say
Civet?
Civet.
Civet. Yeah, CIVET.
That's a shitty car name. The 2022.
The Honda Civic.
The Honda Civic. Oh, that's why I think it says like Civic.
Yeah.
Civic.
So anyway, so I don't know how we got off on the coffee tangent here, but we were talking about like jobs in the beginning of humanity. So you've got people who are, we're talking about pterodactyl tea. That's where it came from. So going back, since pterodactyls weren't around when humans were around, I believe. I wouldn't know because I can't remember that. But then you have somebody who's out getting either animals or plants to bring back to the cave to eat. Right. So, well, the men were the hunters and the women were the gatherers, allegedly. I don't know why women couldn't be hunters back in the day when they weren't pregnant.
Because they thought they weren't strong enough, I guess, or it just wasn't woman's work.
Yeah, I mean, but back then, everybody's working hard. I'm sure they were probably not as muscular as the men, but muscular, hardy. They were hardy women of the time, of the era,
I'm sure cave women were like tougher than any dude you've ever met.
But maybe it had to do with like menstruation. Maybe like they couldn't go out hunting for like a week per month because then they would become the prey of the things that they were hunting. If they were hunting.
Like the bear thing. Like if you go camping and it attracts bears, women on their menstrual cycle, if they go camping, worry about bears.
Just bears?
But what if you want to hunt the bear? Bring a woman. She'll lure the bear with her menses.
Yeah, and it could just
be like, bear lure.
But I wonder if that aggravates the bear. Like the bear would like suddenly get very angry and maybe become manic and make it a lot harder to kill.
I guess. I think when you start to kill a bear, it gets pretty angry. So it's going to be angry once you start.
Yeah, but sometimes when the adrenaline is pumping, it's a lot harder to kill the thing that's got the adrenaline, like Rasputin. It took so many different ways of killing him because he was all worked up before he finally died. He was stabbed and poisoned, but it was drowning that actually killed him.
Yeah, but that was like superhuman what he did. No adrenaline can explain the punishment he went through.
No adrenaline could explain the punishment he went through?
Yeah, he was like insane. How they put enough poison in him to kill an elephant. They shot him. They did everything, and he wouldn't die. And I know adrenaline can make it a little stronger, but it's like a freaky story, Rasputin. Like how it doesn't even make sense. It must be exaggerated.
Do you think Rasputin was a robot?
He could have been like Unbreakable. Bruce Willis. Maybe he wasn't superhuman. Like maybe throughout history, there are people who were born with extraordinary abilities.
And yeah, sure.
But he didn't have a job. He was a grifter. I guess that's a job, being a grifter. You got to work at it.
He was a what's the word? A mystic grifter.
Mystic grifter.
That's the name of my next band.
That's a nice name, or at least an album.
Yeah. Actually, I think I'm going to start using that for my nickname at karaoke.
Yeah, I like it. It rolls off the tongue.
Just call me Mystic Grifter. I think that actually was a John Denver song.
That's too cool for
John Rocky Denver. Mountain High, Mystic Grifter.
It sounds like it could be like a Nick Cave song.
Maybe. Or somebody who like delves into spiritual arenas more, so maybe more like Marilyn Manson or something.
But that's a job, being a thief, I guess.
Being a thief is a job?
Yeah, you work and you get paid. Because nobody pays you. They pay you against their will.
Well, wait a second. What? As a thief, you're getting paid, but nobody pays you? If you're stealing something...
But the definition of a job is you work to get money, and then you get money. So that's what a thief does, right? He works, plans a robbery, does the job.
He
gets
takes
money.
something that doesn't belong to him. It's like communism.
That's true.
Right. So,
no, not like communism. They want to take the hard-earned efforts of the proletariat that they worked to create. Technically, that doesn't work that way in reality, but
yeah. All right, commie. Yeah. You're like defending communism is.
I'm defending the pure essence of it, but it never works. I'm not a communist because it doesn't work in reality. There's always some asshole who's like, "No, but wait, I'm in charge." And
there's always somebody in charge, somebody who wants what you've got.
Yes.
So
and that's why we work. That's why we have jobs. Because somehow, when civilization started, there's always people who had more than everyone else. There's some finagling, or cunning, or strength, just because they were stronger.
Yeah.
And so everyone ended up working for that guy. They were like, I own all the resources, so if you want to work, you have to work for me at my factory or my farm, because you don't own a farm.
Well, it's like this struggle for attaining stuff for lots of people. Whereas if you bring it down to for simplicity's sake, it should all just be about having food, water, clothing, shelter, the basic needs, and things to make life a little more comfortable. And I think that's where
those primitive people were like that. I don't think those like early people in Mesopotamia were like, "Ooh, I want to buy the new, the new rock table." I don't know the
new rock table.
It's made of obsidian. You have to work harder for stuff. No, they were just working just to have like a nice little hut and some food.
A nice little hut.
Yeah, they'd be lucky to have a hut.
Yeah, well, I mean, they started off in caves, right? Because they need shelter from.
Yeah, but when civilization started, there's a few rich guys, and then lots of poor people who had to work for the rich guys.
Well, you say when civilization started, were there rich guys at that exact point and what do you think was the actual point when civilization started?
That's what I was saying when I took all these archaeology classes and about early civilizations. Like, I thought it was so weird that to them, in advanced civilization, or even on its way, the basis of it is stratification of society. That's a main characteristic. So they would not consider your civilization advanced if everyone was equal. Even though everyone was happy, you were creating beautiful buildings and things that we take as part of civilization, science and learning. But when archaeologists look at a society, they're like, they weren't that advanced.
Yeah.
Are you Zorro? Oh, you're the Mystic Grifter. That's the Mystic Grifter.
Right. This is the Mystic Grifter outfit. I wanted to ask you a question. Have you ever heard of somebody called Python Shell?
No.
All right, because somebody on TikTok says I look like the guy that teaches Python Shell, and I have no idea what that means.
Is that a martial art?
I don't know. It could be that. Maybe it's like a computer language or something. It could be anything, I suppose. But
damn it! I did it again.
We're back to the law offices of Burp Squabbling.
That's adorable.
Do you like my little hat?
Yeah, you look like a chihuahua.
Yeah, I'm not getting the option for the other fun things today for some reason. I don't know why.
Maybe that's for the best. It's distracting.
Really? You don't like the
our meaty conversations.
Oh, I got to get this hat off of my head. I forgot it was still on. Well.
Where does that bring us now, though?
What's that?
Where it brings us now, though, the fact that most people are just like at a job they don't want to do. You're spending most of your life doing something you don't want to do just so you can live.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think in the beginning of time, just to live, nobody was doing what they wanted to do. I don't think they knew what they wanted to do.
Do you think, though, even back then, people liked hunting just like people do hunting for recreational activity now? Maybe these people were like, this is awesome. We're going out for the bison hunt.
I don't know.
Yay. It's bison hunting season. It's fun.
I mean, maybe it became that at a certain point, after doing it for so long, as opposed to it just being a chore,
Actually, it's a dangerous chore, too. So I know it was that fun. I mean,
well, it's also a bonding experience between parents and children to go out and do hunting. You know, I mean, that like some of my earliest memories with my father are like where we went out hunting, and I hate hunting. You know,
But you didn't have to, though, and it wasn't like you were gonna die, like a saber-toothed tiger was gonna rip your head off.
I was gonna say, what do you mean I didn't have to? I was like, I had to.
No,
But
you
no,
had to.
it wasn't because we had to
But-
feed ourselves. Unlike
Yeah.
my father, because when he was raised where they had to kill their food. You know,
Oh,
there
yeah.
was like no grocery stores where they lived. They lived in like a one-room cabin out in the woods in Tennessee, back in the 1930s and 1940s. You know, and every day when they got home, they'd have to inspect themselves for ticks to make sure they weren't covered in ticks and to get rid of them. And they have many, many recipes for squirrels.
And for ticks.
Because at the time, possibly, I don't know.
Find the ticks.
I know, you know, I never asked him if he ate the ticks that they found on their body.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they have a lot of like tick eating recipes. You know, maybe Wasabi Soda Pop will come up with one of these days.
Yeah.
Like it'll be like
Tennessee tick soup.
Well, isn't that where Lyme disease comes from? It's from like the Smoky Mountains. Is like from those ticks, or is
Oh, I didn't know that's where it came from. I just thought it was all ticks could give you that. I didn't know it came from a region.
Do you think it actually comes from a clock,
Hmm?
or like from twitches that people have? Those ticks?
No.
Okay. Or from the app that is live right now, which is TikTok.
Mhm.
Like, can we get Lyme disease from using the app TikTok?
I wish.
It's possible. It's
I
probably
wish
more
I
of the
would've-
citrus. You know, it's more of like an actual Lyme that you would get from TikTok.
See, no one can hear me, so I'm gonna say I wish everyone who watched TikTok got Lyme disease. I don't really feel this way, but I like the fact that I could say anything about TikTok.
Well, again, we don't know that the guy who was on YouTube has left. It could have been Sanchez El Dorado who left, and this other guy's still watching. I mean, right now we actually have 2 people watching on TikTok, and we have 1 person watching on YouTube. So, obviously, we're incredibly popular
Yeah.
because of that. But anyway, getting back to jobs, and again, our client is take this job and gently place it into your rectum or something along those lines. I keep not quite getting the wording right, I think. But there came a point where jobs are necessary because it was the way you survived. It was the way you fed yourself. And maybe it was easier. Maybe you started working for somebody else because they provided an additional security. In other words, you didn't have to go out and do the hunting or the gathering per se. They had somebody else do it. And for you doing this other task for them, like you do with dishwashing, you know, and they will then provide you with a means of which where you can survive without having to go do those other things. So you
It's
can
not
do
like
something.
when I go to. Oh,
What?
Sorry,
No, go ahead.
I thought you were done. I'm just saying, like when I go to work, it's not like, oh shit, it was a bad day for dishes. I'm gonna go hungry tonight.
Yeah.
The dishes weren't out there. So the hunting's a risky thing. Sometimes there might not be animals out there,
Right.
but you might miss. but
Well,
you're
it's
going
like
out.
with my dad, you know, they had to hunt squirrels
Yeah.
because there was no big game. So all they had were varmints to
And
feed
one
off
day,
of.
the squirrels might have been off somewhere. And
Luckily,
they,
squirrels are pretty plentiful in the woods. You know,
and they were probably pretty good at killing them too.
yeah. You know, one of my uncles is telling a story about how they would get like a thorn bush or something and put it, or like a thorn branch and put it up inside of a tree and then start swinging it around till they could feel like the tail of the squirrel getting wrapped around the branch. Then they yank it out of the tree and just beat it against the tree to kill the squirrel.
Whoa.
It was quite the story, and you know, quite descriptive in the way he said it.
Squirrels are so cute.
And he said, you know, there's nothing quite like staring down at your plate, and then there's like a squirrel head staring back at you as you eat its brains.
they would eat the brains.
Yeah,
You
they
get
ate
mad
all of
squirrel-
it. They ate all of the squirrel except for like
You
the
get mad
skin.
squirrel disease from that.
Mad squirrel disease.
Yeah. Leave the brains alone.
They probably cooked it, I would think. You know, they also ate raccoons. Raccoons were like
So that was big game for them.
a delicacy as well. You
Yeah.
know, raccoons, squirrels, basically things that live in trees, you know. And somewhere down the line, they brought big game came from somewhere, like deer came from somewhere. So I know that in later years, my grandfather would sit on his porch and shoot deer from his porch. Like other people would go out hunting, you know, he would just hang out at home. wait for him to come by, and he'd finally get him.
How come all hunters didn't take his lead and say, that's way better?
Well, because you couldn't rely on it, just like you can't rely on going out into the woods that you'll find a deer either.
Yeah. But he was sitting on his porch drinking corn squeezins, relaxing in his rocking chair.
Yeah.
Probably paying his, his jug, blowing into his jug.
I don't know that he had a jug or that he did that. He was a truck driver. Did I ever tell you the story? This is a story I just found out about my last trip to Florida when I was visiting with my dad. That my dad, when he was a kid, had to go visit his father in jail because his father had stabbed his brother in the neck with a knife.
So your grandfather?
My grandfather was in jail, yeah. And I never knew this before. I never knew that my grandfather had been to prison a few times. And then suddenly a lot of things started making sense. Not regarding my dad, but about his brothers.
But your grandmother wasn't in jail because lynching was pretty legal then.
My grandmother was not. My grandmother, I don't think participated in lynching, but she was definitely pro-lynching.
Yeah.
So you remember that story? Yeah. So
but you never know though. Maybe she was out there just sometimes. I want to go lynch someone. I'm bored.
I know, but they didn't really come to that part of town. Really, so African Americans weren't there for them to go after.
They? What do you mean by they, Matt?
I just said African Americans.
I'm kidding.
I mean, who else would I be referring to? They weren't familiar with other nationalities in the darkness of
those
Tennessee. It's basically us and everybody else is the mentality there, at least for many of them. Unlike my dad and one of my uncles, who both got the hell out of Tennessee the first chance that they could because of the rampant racism and a lot of other things. For their time period, yeah. For their time period, they were a bit woke, you could say. Now there was some other story I was going to bring up regarding what they went through, but I don't remember it. Something is
corn squeezing.
My hand is going to be going over the camera because I'm getting blinded by something. There, that should solve that problem. Hopefully. Oh yes, I'm no longer getting spots in front of my eyes. Well, this is actually a good time to bring up our cooking segment, right? Right?
Yeah. Especially one that was so belabored over and given such care.
I know, exactly. All right, here we go. This is Waspy Soda Pop, and this is where he does his thing.
At Safe Mart, it's a Safe Mart. Time to Safe Mart and be safe.
Safe Mart is a proud sponsor of Food is for Eating with Waspy Soda Pop. Today's special, 1 pound of glorious head cheese for $1.99. Come get some at Safe Mart. Be safe.
Food is for eating. Food is for eating. Food is for eating with Waspy Soda Pop.
Hey there, everybody. This is Waspy Soda Pop with one of the most popular sandwiches in the world. Everybody knows this, but some of you might not. So I'm going to give you my take on the tuning fish sandwich. First, you start off with 2 cans of chunk light or albacore white tuna. Make sure you chunk them and drain them, or drain them and chunk them, depending upon your mood. Get a 1/4 cup of mayonnaise, 1 hard-cooked egg, chop it, and you gotta chop it. 2 teaspoons of lemon juice, 1/2 cup chopped celery, 2 tablespoons of sweet pickle relish, 2 teaspoons of lemon pepper seasoning, some lettuce leaves. You can do like curly leaf or whatever kind of leaf you want, really. And 8 slices of bread. I like sourdough. Sometimes you want to use something else. You could use pumpernickel. You could use rye. You could use wheat. You could use that bread that you find in weird places across the country that I don't know the names of, but you might. And then you also want to get 2 tuning forks in the key of E. Now, what you do next, in a medium bowl, you combine all the ingredients except the bread and the tuning forks. You mix well, chill for several hours, and then also put the ingredients in the refrigerator to chill for several hours too. So together, you're chilling together. If you want, you can watch Netflix. That's a choice. You want to then line 4 slices of bread with lettuce, top each of them with 1/4 of the tuna mixture, place a tuning fork on 2 of those sandwiches, cover that with the rest of your bread, and there it is. It is the most classic tuning fish sandwich you could ever have. This is Waspy Soda Pop. Food is for eating.
This is the first time I've had that. I went to a restaurant in the
Is that
South.
a tuning fork
I
sandwich?
had a tuning fork sandwich, but it was a little sharp. I think the tuna, so I could tell by the taste, and I asked the guy, and he tested the tuning fork. It was an E sharp instead of, so it was a little off.
Oh, okay. So the fish was off.
It wasn't E. You got to have the tuning fork at E, or it doesn't work. I believe me, I tried.
Sanchez is a little late with, he said tick kebab. So I guess he's.
Oh, I'm sorry. It wasn't E sharp. It was F, I believe. That's the next one. Step up.
Well, you can have E sharp. It's like F flat.
No, I think E just goes to F on the piano. There's no black key.
I know that's the joke.
D,
F flat is E.
F flat. Yeah, so I don't know what the flat would taste like. If I had a D sharp, it would be. But yeah, you got to have a tuning fork at E. You're right. You know.
You do. I mean, that's what makes it taste better. Because if it's if it's
I
off key,
confused?
then it tastes funky.
That made 2 sandwiches. Was I correct?
Yeah, it was like 8 slices of bread.
Yeah. So each sandwich has 4 slices of bread.
I think it's 4 sandwiches, but there's 2 sandwiches that have tuning forks.
Oh, well, that's the other 2 are what? Just normal tuna sandwiches.
Those you just disregard or you give to the guys who
No.
you give to the hunters and gatherers.
Those are the ones I want. I don't want a tuning fork breaking my teeth.
What are you talking about? It's the
I
best.
prefer the other 2.
I think Waspy is having a stroke because he's having trouble pronouncing words these days.
Words
Like
he's
having trouble with like the word several. It was like several, and a couple of others just didn't sound like they were coming out okay. So I think he's got some issues. Anyway, so we're gonna get ready for Ask Greg, everybody. So if you got any questions there on YouTube or on TikTok for Greg, he will answer your questions. These will be your opportunity to get a question asked and answered. That does not. Did I just kill YouTube? I think I just killed YouTube.
You killed YouTube?
I might have.
I'm calling the police.
I don't know. I can't tell what happened. All right, I'm going to view the stream on YouTube. Yes, somehow I had deleted the tab on YouTube.
The man who shot Liberty YouTube was the bravest of them all.
Was he? Okay.
Yes.
Well, anyway, let's find out what you have to say, Greg. So, on to our next segment.
He has an opinion, may not always be right. He's a real fake lawyer. He's old and he's white. Ask him a question, 'cause he's a good egg for bogus advice. Ask Greg. Ask Greg. Ask Greg.
So, we'll see if we got any questions from YouTube. Nothing. Sanchez El Dorado is delinquent, and he's the only one watching there. And we have one person.
You can make a biography of Waspy Soda Pop, and he can't even
ask you a legal question. All right, so here is our question for Greg today. Dear Greg, can Will Smith be held legally liable for slapping Chris Rock in the face for making a really bad joke about Jada Pinkett Smith's head?
Actually, not surprisingly, because the Academy Awards are in a different legal sphere than the rest of the country.
Oh, really?
If you're on stage at the Academy Awards, you can, especially when you're a star, you can just shoot into the audience with a gun if you want. You can murder someone. When you're on that podium, you're up near that podium. It's almost like just a free zone. It's no laws don't apply.
It's like the Purge.
Yeah, kind of.
So in other words, the minute you walk into the auditorium for the Academy Awards, or maybe the minute they start the show, when the host finally begins the show and starts speaking, at that point it becomes utter lawlessness in the Academy Awards auditorium, and anything goes.
Yeah, there was just 4 years ago, I think Bruce Valanche strangled Liza Minnelli to death, and he was fine. He went home.
No one said a thing.
No, it was legal. But I think it's on the stage, though. In the audience, you can get, like, misdemeanors are okay. You could jaywalk if there was a traffic stop within the stadium, the theater. Or
So
like
jaywalking is legal in the theater.
Yeah, you could have a small amount of marijuana. Misdemeanors are excused. On the stage, you can get away with a lot of shit, like full-on assault, as we saw. Will Smith, I mean, obviously I'm right. Will Smith is not in jail now. The police never showed up because that was totally legal what he did. Chris Rock could have pulled a gun on him and shot him dead right for doing that, and he would have been free as well.
Oh, okay. So that would have been the right response then. It would have been Chris Rock pulling out a gun and killing Will Smith.
Yes.
I see.
But I think also Jada Pinkett Smith, she egged him on. Because at first he was laughing at the joke. And then the camera cut away, and obviously Jada Pinkett Smith was just like, fucking like, you know, my ex-boyfriend would have shot that motherfucker for saying that, you pussy.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh shit, sorry, babe. And then it went up there. And
well, I didn't see Jada smiling at Chris Rock's joke. I saw Will Smith laughing at the joke.
She was not happy. Will Smith was laughing. And she just, you know, she set him straight and said, you better do something about this.
But you're saying that Will Smith, though, cannot be held liable because of the Academy Awards and anything goes, though.
On the stage, definitely, yeah.
So if Will Smith had gone up with like a baseball bat and took out Chris Rock's kneecaps.
Yeah.
You know, like, for example, if he was working for Dodgy Daycare, then that would be perfectly fine.
We're for Pasta. What's his name? Pastalucci. Pastalucci
was the name of the founder. The founder of Dodgy Daycare, which apparently was just founded this year. Strangely enough, it's only been around for a couple of months. It has not much longevity. Anyways.
There was 10 years ago on the Academy Awards stage, Billy Crystal fondled a small child right in front of everyone. And
Jesus.
This was fine. Nobody, they couldn't do anything.
You had to go there, did you? Okay. That's good, Greg.
And the small child was the kid who sees dead people. From
so it's Haley Joel Osment. So
that's his name, yeah.
So Billy Crystal fondled Haley Joel Osment on the stage of the Academy Awards a number of years ago.
And you couldn't do a damn thing.
But it was actually while Haley Joel Osment was an adult is when it actually happened. So, but that would be okay, I would think.
Either way, it's not going to fondle anyone. It's against the law, against their will. So,
but on stage at the Academy Awards, any crime is able to be committed.
Yeah, and I'm actually, me and some other lawyers are actually on a committee to change this. We're trying to, petition Congress. Something's got to be done because the shit that happened at the People's Choice Awards last year.
Yeah.
Egregious. I mean,
I thought it was only at the Academy Awards this could happen.
No, there's others.
So is it all the major award shows where there's celebrities?
It depends. It's, some People's Choice Awards, you're allowed certain felonies.
Is it like the people vote on the felony that they can get committed?
Exactly.
Okay.
So, yeah. But Academy Awards is just a blanket because it's the big one. It's so like you're there, you're fucking above everyone else. Do whatever the fuck you want when you're on the stage.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Will Smith shot Chris Rock from his seat. He might have been in some trouble.
What if he
got up on that stage? There's like almost like a magic wall that he entered into that sphere of lawlessness.
Do you think it would have been worse for him to have peed on Chris Rock on stage as opposed to hitting him?
No, it's anything goes.
I think that would have made a much stronger defense of Jada if he had done that.
It would have been cooler. It would have been funnier and just like better.
Yeah. If he just stood up there and like peed on Chris Rock's leg instead of hitting him.
Or maybe give him a noogie. Because that was pretty harsh.
It's like, oh, yo.
Yeah. But a really painful one, like where he'd be like, ah.
Like, don't put my wife's name in your fucking mouth, noogie. Yeah. That one.
And a titty twister. Like really painful. It's Indian rope burn.
2 hands.
Mm-hmm.
2-handed titty twister is what Will Smith should have done. Here's what you're saying.
Can I say
like actually lifted him up. He could have probably lifted him up with that.
Some
You're
people are
like,
into
don't you
shit.
do that again, Mr. Rock. How dare
That was an
you?
ugly scene.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why my group is doing this. We're tired of seeing these things, and there's no.
What's the name of your organization?
It's called.
I can't
Come
wait for
on.
this.
I can't think of anything.
It's a Lawyers Against Award Show Violence.
Labia. Lawyers Against Beating in Academy Awards.
Beating?
In awards. In breaking laws in awards.
What? So the acronym is labia?
Yeah.
And that stands for what again?
Lawyers Against Breaking Laws in Awards. Awards shows. They're silent. The S and the
So you could have
L-
labias. It's Lawyers Against.
but it would actually be lablias. Lablias. That's what it's called. Lablias. Has a nice ring to it.
Okay, in award shows.
Lablias. With an accent on the last day, so it's on the first day, so it's
What's
lablias.
say it on the accent?
Lablias.
Is that Greek? Is that a Greek accent you're doing?
It sounds like it, huh? I was trying to be Spanish.
I don't know. If you're going to do it, you got to throw a plate.
That's racist against Greece.
That's
They don't all
this
throw
is
plates.
2 shows in a row. I think you've called me a racist for.
I
don't
know, because
what
you keep
reason.
saying racist things.
What am I saying that's racist, Greg?
That all Greeks break plates. That all Italians are involved with dodgy daycare.
Did I say that all Greeks break plates?
You just did.
Just at this moment, because I repeated what you said.
You implied it. Breaking plates? I didn't bring up breaking plates.
You said it before I said it. You
Breaking.
said all Greeks break plates. Those are the words you used.
You're gaslighting me, Matt.
You're lighting gas on me. So there. How
I'm
about
farting in your general
that?
direction.
Your mother was a hamster and your father smells of elderberries. And you can take this job and place it gently in your rectum.
Yes, we have to think about jobs now.
We do. So somewhere along the line, we kind of got off track. But, you know, the fact is that the nature of jobs has now evolved in various different interesting ways. Whereas way back when, you couldn't demand getting a certain amount of pay and you couldn't demand getting a certain amount of food for whatever you did. It would be like an agreement. You go, this is what I've agreed to. This is what you will give me. And so then you'd be willing to work for that person. And somewhere along the line, as I believe you said, the stratification of society became such where the person who is giving you the thing that you want has suddenly decided that they are more important than you. They're worth more than you as a human being. And ergo, they can do whatever they want to you. And you just have to take it because they're holding your little bag of gold in their hands. And you have to do whatever they want because you are merely a monkey boy and must abide by their wishes. And
That's
therein
about the
lies,
gist of it.
so therein lies, you know, our current states of civilization.
But we did in the last 150 years, there was a major change for the first
Yeah.
time
Okay.
when the unions and shit, workers said, "You guys can't do this shit without us. So you got to give us something. You can't treat us like total peons, subhumans. I mean, because we can go on strike, and your money will stop flowing if we do that. You do need us, even though you think we're less than you."
Yeah.
But of course, those are eroding. So I think it's going back to that, where we're all just little serfs.
Well, speak for yourself.
No, I know, but more and more.
The only one I am a servant of is my wife.
Well, good for you.
That's right.
I don't know how you don't have to work so much. It's amazing.
I work all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I work to watch TV. I work getting out of my chair.
Opening the refrigerator door.
I work putting together silly things for this podcast.
Yes, but they don't pay.
Yeah,
That's not work.
you're telling me.
That's your hobby.
It's like it's a hobby till you get paid.
Yeah, I mean, I think anyone who can get paid for something they like to do, even if it's very small, like, oh, I sell lots of things on Etsy, my crochet work. If you're making enough to live, you fucking win so hard. You win the game.
That begs another question, which is, so way back when, in the early days of humanity, and the jobs were gathering food and eating food and hanging out with other people who had gathered food and eaten food and sleeping. What do you think their hobbies were? What did they do when they weren't trying to feed themselves?
I think it was sleeping and fucking and shitting and eating.
I don't know. How could shitting be a hobby?
Yes, that's all they had. It's like,
but unless they did it to paint with. That was like their painting supplies.
Fecal matter is pretty, like, it really sticks to shit, like it stays.
Unless there's coffee berries in it.
No, I bet it stays just as well. I mean, look at your toilet. A toilet's fucking porcelain with water in it all the time. And I've had shit stains on my toilet. Like, how are you still there? You're soaked in water, you're on porcelain, and you won't go away until I brush you away. I mean, that's pretty durable. Can you imagine shit on a cave wall? That shit's going to be there for decades, I imagine, with no water in it. So, like, for the first time, the message has changed on my screen.
You just raised your hand. You raised your hand, and the hand showed up on the screen. That was bizarre.
So for weeks now or months, it said, you are about to raise your hand. And tonight, it said that. I didn't mention it. It said it twice today. Now it's like, your hand is raised.
I think what must happen on your screen is that it has some kind of motion recognition where you put your hand up, and so then it showed up on the screen. So I need to lower your hand.
Why would it say you're about to raise your hand?
I don't know. I've never had this. Well, I mean, because for one thing, you're not an amputee, so it probably recognizes that you have hands because you bring them up on the screen every once in a while, and that may be what's going on. Put your hand up really fast again and see if that works. Put the other hand up in like a way that you're like raising your hand. No, that didn't work. Well, so much for that experiment.
I thought it was another racist thing against Italians, so we talk with our hands.
No, that's what makes you so special. Everybody talks with their hands in some way.
You're doing the robot, man. That's not talking with your hands.
What you were. I'm karate chopping. Yeah.
I was going like an Italian. I was like, hey, listen to me.
So the evolution of jobs goes from hunting and gathering, being a hunter or a hunterer, which is a person who then hunts the hunters, I think. Mm-hmm. And then the gathering. And Sanchez says we're not getting all of his comments, so I don't know what to tell him.
Maybe he asked me a question for Ask Greg, and you didn't.
I don't know. It could be when I accidentally killed the tab, and so the comments. Well, but maybe he's not. I bet he's not hitting return on his comments. Is what's going on. He's not hitting return on the live stream, so it's not actually showing up here. So
that doesn't sound like Sanchez. He's very technologically adept.
You think he is?
I've heard this.
Where have you heard it from?
Forbes magazine.
By the way, everybody who's listening, who may be listening in the future, we have a gentleman named Sanchez El Dorado who's a regular listener of ours on our live stream from the Happy Hour News Team. They have a podcast based out of North Dakota. We do recommend that you go check out their podcast as well, because it's just as inane as ours, yet they deal with less topical news stories than we do, because
No, they're very topical. Like, if you want to know what's going on in Florida,
if you want to know about
the police report,
if you want to talk about an interesting news story, and this is something that Sanchez El Dorado should pay close attention to, is like, we have one of the weird news stories happening right here in Clackamas County, Oregon, just recently, where it was found that in the local Red Robin, a special dressing was placed on a salad for a customer who was complaining of being racially discriminated against by the employees at Red Robin. And that special salad dressing is probably what you imagine it was. Yes.
Rich and creamy?
Yes.
Hidden Valley, from the Hidden Valley?
Human protein. Let's just say Human DNA. Yes, your jaw has dropped open like mine was when I first came across the story. There's like a current lawsuit going on. So happy our news team. You're welcome. Look that one up. You can have an Oregon man does blah blah for your show.
So how'd you find out? Like, did she like actually take some and say I took it to a lab?
Who's she?
Oh, for some reason I was assuming it was a she. I don't know why. No. The customer.
The customer was a man, I believe.
So did he take it to a lab to make sure?
Yes. They took it to a lab and they found that he had consumed part of it as well.
I'm sure
it was human-based protein, not animal-based protein. And I was reading the story and it said it was a red robin. I'm like, oh, this is probably like in downtown Portland or something. And it was literally the one that I go to, the red robin around.
Oh my God.
I'm like, and I told my wife and she's like, we're never going there again. I'm like, I don't know that the same guy is going to be allowed to work.
Well, you're white though, so you should be okay. Apparently it's only people of some
ethnicity. Potentially so, yeah. And they also referred to the individual's group as a gang too. So that was nice of them at that local store to do.
Oh, listen. So some like Crips came into the Red Robin to have,
and not to stereotype in any way, but just for the sake of humor, the irony here is that Red Robin shares a parking lot with Chick-fil-A. So that's neither here nor there. Make of that what you will.
I thought Chick-fil-A were just homophobic. Are they also known for being racist?
I don't know. I'm just throwing things out there so that I can get sued, because apparently that's why I'm saying stupid.
I just can't picture a gang member ordering a salad. Maybe that's a stereotype I have of a gang member.
Oh, well, I guess it depends upon the gang.
Yeah.
The well-known crouton gang. We're all about getting salads. Like, what are you doing? I came here. I want all the croutons. I want them all over the salad. All the croutons. I don't just want one crouton. I don't want 10 croutons. I want them all. Every crouton you've got. And I want it now. I wasn't going to do an accent, so I got out of it.
The Latin vegans, that infamous gang.
The Latin vegans.
They're scary.
The vegan kings.
Yeah, if they fucking.
But I don't think they eat croutons because bread is generally made with eggs, so the bread wouldn't be a vegan item. The croutons wouldn't be a vegan item.
It could be vegan bread. It could be, right? Does it make vegan bread? No.
Like I said, it's generally made with egg, isn't it?
Isn't bread made with egg though, right? So they can make pizza crusts vegan or no?
Right, you can get like maybe it's gluten free. I'm thinking of. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Anyway, our client for today has been take this job and place it gently into your rectum. That has been our client for today. This has been the Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker. And next week, well, maybe Brendan will be back. We would love to see that happen. And maybe we'll have a guest again someday. Who knows? But, things change. It's malleable. It's pliable. Podcasts...
Do we really have to end now? Because we didn't talk about the whole main reason to talk about this client today.
What was the main reason to talk about it?
Since COVID, there's been this major shift in people's attitudes about like, hey, I didn't work for a year and it was great. And why people have been questioning this whole system.
I don't remember that being the catalyst for doing this.
So many people are talking about this now.
Though.
Like, why? I know it wasn't, but I guess I wish we got there, but I guess it's too late. So.
Well, you are allowed at any point during the conversation to change gears as you are
talking about random Italian things, Greeks, and I forgot.
As you are wont to do. You're allowed to bring those things up. It's okay, so Greg.
People out there listening, discuss amongst yourselves. We'll come back to this maybe in 2 years. But it is interesting that, all of a sudden people are finally saying, why the fuck do we live like gerbils on a little gerbil wheel? Is that what it's called? A gerbil wheel.
Who's living on gerbil wheels, Greg?
Every single person I know. We're just fucking constantly just like work, sleep. Why? Why are we doing this?
A gerbil wheel.
I don't know the real name for that thing. A habit trail? No.
The hamster wheel?
Hamster wheel? Is that the same?
Yeah,
that's a gerbil wheel, right? You couldn't say a gerbil wheel.
Well,
gerbil?
it's like what was it? One of the recipes from a month or two back from. It was like in December, the Christmas hamster that Waspy Soda Pop. I don't think there was a wheel in that though.
I thought you were talking about the gerbil marinated in Richard Gere's ass for a month.
That is the sound of my head shaking, kind listeners, to that incredibly old,
I know it's
tiresome joke that
but it's
Greg
still a
keeps
funny
bringing up. It's
still
funny to you, but it's
I know.
so old and dead as a joke. I don't know why you laugh at that. And you laugh at it every time, too. And you're the one making the joke.
I don't laugh this hard ever. I'm just really drunk right now.
That's a perfect ending.
Okay.
I'm really drunk right now.
Sorry, Richard Gere.
All right. Well, this has once again been the Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker, and their client was, take this job and place it gently into your rectum. And
like a gerbil.
I told my wife the name of the client, and she said, how exactly is that done? And I had to take a pause and go, I really don't know how you could actually take a job and place it there. But I
You didn't demonstrate?
No, I did not.
Let me show you, honey.
I am too fat to even come close to reaching my rectum anyway, so that wouldn't work. Anyway, so thank you everybody for listening, and we're going to be ending off right now.
Your consultation with the Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker has ended. You may pay your retainer at www.qsblaw.org. Please exit to the right of the water cooler and grab a candy from the front desk. We hope to see you again soon, but you need to leave now. I said leave. Why don't they ever listen? Get out! Get out!